Well, the sculpture is called Connection, and primarily I'm interested in how we're connected to the natural world, how the natural world is connected to something larger, that we're not separate from it, that we're a part of it, we're within it. I looked at how spruce root cording is performed and why it's been used actually for many, many centuries. And as I was thinking of this idea, I noticed that the building outside was not your typical architectural example of a high-rise building. The corners of the building are beautifully softened, and there's a bit of a sway to it. It reminded me of the tree trunks that Emily Carr painted in her paintings. It seemed to have this rhythm, this reaching aspect. And there's a beautiful part of the top of the building. It ends, but there is a linear line that reminds me that this is just a section, a segment of a tree trunk. And that really helped me think about the roots and how we, as people, on a microscopic level, if we could think of ourselves as being small and mingling within the root structure beneath this glorious tree, are really just a very small part of something much, much larger. Everything starts with a good idea, but nothing really happens unless you know how to put it together. And that's what I've really been learning about through the process of doing this, that getting the right people around you is so important. You need the proper, I guess, the intellectual equity in your company around you to reinforce you with the notion that you can do this and it's possible. Then you also need the skill to externally export these ideas for people to understand how to articulate that into a building and a structure. They in turn know how to make that safe and to be aligned with certain building codes and safety requirements. It's actually a really fascinating process from idea to realization. I know when you look at work, public work in particular, you can't draw those parallels so quickly, and nor should you, because visiting a sculpture in person should be a transformative experience on another level. But through this experience of building connection, it really has shown me that, as a creative person and within a creative studio around creative and very capable people, there's so much more that you can do. It's really great. I sort of look at nature not passively as something to be enjoyed visually. I love the sounds and the feeling and how it makes me feel. And I like the idea of leaning on nature to help me tell certain stories. I'm not a writer. I am a visual artist, and I find it fascinating that I really enjoy picking out parts of smaller stories within the context of a bigger story. Like, for example, when you're walking through a forest, there's so much going on, and maybe that's why you feel sort of at ease, you feel refreshed, you feel relaxed. And all of what's going on beneath the soil, in the air, and all of the creatures you can see and you can't see, and it's you're walking within an organism, essentially. And what nature means to me in that instance is, how am I feeling at that moment? How does the air feel to me? How has my breathing changed? How I'm going to feel later even. It's sort of hard to express, But I find that if I can pick little stories or little feelings out of my experiences and translate them into works of art or art-driven design, I find that very satisfying. So in this sculpture, if you look up, you'll notice that the very fine-like ends are swirling, almost like a bird's nest above a bar area where people are going to congregate, hopefully. And in this case, and if you think of roots in general, what their job is in nature is to add stability to the tree, but also primarily that's where all the nutrients are taken up into the tree, the water and the nutrients. And in this case, I want you to look around at your friends at the bar, and I want you to imagine how large this tree must be, and how wonderful nature is, and how small we are as part of that whole system.